Alright, still talking about Marvel's Phase 1 movies, so now, let's talk about my board. Iron Man 2. So Iron Man 2 is the third movie in what was becoming the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It takes place 6 months after the first Iron Man, and Tony Stark is now going through a lot of stuff. I mean, first and foremost, there are several story arcs in this movie. There were some I liked and some I didn't like. Right off the bat, I will say that of all the movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, this one is my least favorite. First off, because the arc reactor in Tony Stark's chest is made out of palladium, it's actually slowly killing him. So his mindset is he pretty much doesn't really care about anything anymore. He just kind of accepted his impending death. Behavior-wise, that's kind of a step down from the first one. You don't really like seeing that. On top of that, you got some new villains in town. Their stories are fine, but I'll get to them later. And on top of that, we also have Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D. coming into play again. Iron Man 2 really is kind of convoluted with story arcs. And this movie kind of overdid the visual effects at some points. Like the scene in the beginning where Tony Stark's walking through his house and there's all these holograms all over the place. He's playing hologram basketball or whatever. I'm like, really? And some of the humor in this movie really misfired. Most of that is Sam Rockwell's fault. I couldn't stand Sam Rockwell as Justin Hammer in this movie. He first comes on the scene, he's all buffing like, oh, I'm a better weapons designer than Tony Stark, oh, look at me. I'm like, look at this flake. He was annoying as hell, and he had nothing except a grudge against Tony Stark, which couldn't amount to shit. He was like the main bad guy in this movie, but the one they marketed the most, of course, was Mickey Rourke as Ivan Vanko, Whiplash. And action-wise, he was cool, but you don't care about his character at all. He does have motivation for what he's trying to do, but you still don't care. So yeah, Iron Man 2 took a major hit with the bad guys. However, this movie introduced quite a few cool things to the MCU. First of all, War Machine. Okay, Rhodey was recast in this movie. First it was Terrence Howard in the first Iron Man, now we have Don Cheadle. And like I said, I did like Terrence Howard more, but by this point I've grown to accept Don Cheadle, and I like Don Cheadle in the role. And when Iron Man is thrown down with War Machine, it is awesome. In all the MCU movies, any Tony Stark and Rhodey team up, I love watching. And it all started right here. I mean, you saw in the trailer Iron Man and War Machine, they're just fighting off all these hemorrhoid droids. They're all War Machine's all kicking ass, and that one gun on his shoulder is all doing its own thing. Every dude watching that was like, awesome. So War Machine is a huge plus for this movie. And yeah, most of the action here is really cool. Everyone likes watching Iron Man throw down when he's fighting against Whiplash and Monaco. That scene, as short as it was pretty cool. And I also really like S.H.I.E.L.D.'s role in this movie. Nick Fury comes into play about halfway through. And of course, you can't forget about Black Widow. Yeah, this is where we first meet Black Widow, and I actually really like how she was introduced. She was introduced undercover as Natalie Rushman. She was kind of a liaison to Stark Industries. Then after a major fuck up from Tony Stark, she reveals herself, oh yeah, by the way, I'm Agent Natasha Romanoff. And she has her throwing down scene. That scene where she's in the hall at Hammer Industries and she's taking all these guys. You're like, yeah, this character's not really fleshed out yet, but she can throw down and it's awesome. And Iron Man 2, this is actually where the really divisive thing comes in. Some people say this is one of the weakest things about the movie. Some people don't mind it as much. And that is the fact that this movie has a lot of hype up for the Avengers. Again, with Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D. and Black Widow coming into play. Tony Stark's talking to Nick Fury like, I told you, I don't want to join your super secret boy band. And I really don't mind that as much. I like hyping up for movies. I love hyping up for movies. So yeah, the fact that Iron Man 2 has a lot of hype up for the Avengers doesn't bother me at all. But of course, the movie does focus up at the end, and there's a lot of action with War Machine and the hemorrhoids and Whiplash and all that, and that's also really cool. I just couldn't stand the bad guys in this movie, particularly Sam Rockwell. But I do like what Tony Stark goes through in this movie. He learns more about his dad, Howard Stark. He learns more about S.H.I.E.L.D., more about the Avengers Initiative. In my book, that's not a bad thing. So Iron Man 2 was convoluted with story arcs, but it didn't take the movie down as much as the bad guys did. It had awesome action scenes, and it got me super excited for the Avengers. In fact, I remember when I saw this movie in theaters with my brother for the first time, the post-credit scene, you know, Agent Coulson drives up to that crater, he's like, sir, we found it. And then it shows this gray hammer in the middle of the crater, like right when it cut to black. I turned to my brother, I was like, Thor! It's cool that we got to see Mjolnir for the first time in this movie. I love hyping up for shit. So the bottom line is, Iron Man 2 is my least favorite of the Marvel Cinematic Universe films, but it's still enjoyable. So Iron Man 2, have you seen it? Have you watched it recently? How does it rank among all the Marvel movies for you? What's your favorite Iron Man movie of the three? Whatever you think to any of that, go ahead and leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe.